My name's Hunter Sugar. I guess I've always kind of been into hunting. I remember even before I was old enough to hunt, my dad going up to Bedford to the family's cabin and being at home with my mom or my grandparents or whatever, and just being excited that my dad was hunting or he might bring a deer home. And when he did bring a deer home, I had to go out and touch it and get pictures with it and get the whole story from him. When I got a little bit older, finally got to go hunting. I think we did like a mentored youth hunt, something when I was 11, but couldn't actually hunt in the state of Pennsylvania till you're 12. So my first time out hunting, I think I missed a deer and all that. But my first real memory, my first good memory from hunting, was we had just got permission to hunt this little overgrown farm. It was like a little strip of woods, overgrown cornfields on both sides. It was just all goldenrod, nasty stuff, like just thick, nasty stuff. And we always sit at the point of this little piece of timber. And one night we were sitting there, I think it was probably the last week of archery season, or not archery season, last week of rifle season. And my dad was like, we've been sitting here, we haven't been seeing deer. I'm going to go for a walk, try to push some deer to you. And I just remember sitting up on this like rock outcropping, and my dad was running around in this field chasing God knows what to me, I just saw him running around left, right, north, south, whatever, just running all over the place. And then he went out around the point of the woods and got on the other side of the woods. He's still running around this field, just running really fast. And next thing I knew, he yelled, "Coming your way." So I looked down to my left, and coming through this little tip of the woods is a little 8-point chasing a doe. And I shot and didn't really see it saw it in the scope when I shot, but then didn't see it run off or anything like that. About that time, it started pouring down rain and all that. So we went looking for the deer, and we never did find it that night. But a couple days later, I was getting up or laying in bed, getting ready for school, and my dad came busting into the house, woke me up and said, "I found your deer." Well, he shot a doe that morning, and it died probably within 30 yards of where that buck was the night before. Not the night before, but earlier that week. And so that's my real first memory, was just my dad chasing those deer around, just trying to make anything happen so that I could get that buck that night. And it actually worked. So that was my real first memory of rifle season. My family, we don't really have a hunting tradition. We used to go out to the cabin every year, and it's since changed hands, and, family still owns it, but we just don't go out there hunting much anymore. We're more into archery hunting now and kind of more independent. I mostly hunt on my own, but, my dad and I and friends of mine, we talk every single day during deer season, from the first day of archery until probably the end of rifle and even into late season. And, that's really what it means to me, is just the shared passion with friends and family. It's like something I've never experienced with anything else. Without hunting, I probably wouldn't be a very happy guy, but I really live for this stuff. So that's just what it is to me, and I love it. And hopefully get to enjoy it for many, many, many more years.
Hey guys, my name is Tom Fleischer, and I've been hunting since I was 12 years old, which is basically the past 35 years. I grew up rifle hunting, going to deer camp, and that's one of my most favorite things as a kid, was going to deer camp with my dad and friends of ours at their camp. And just everything that goes along with that. I gotta say, I love hunting because of the challenges the chess match between you and the deer, figuring them out, learning about them, and in the process making yourself a better person and a better hunter, I believe. Over the past 8 years, since I've gotten back into archery, I've really come to love that. I almost enjoy that more than rifle hunting, just because of the fact that you have to have deer close. And I think that just makes everything for me personally more exciting. And that's why I love it. Thank you very much, guys. And have a successful season, what remains. And as always, enjoy the process.
Hey everybody, my name's Shelly Lawrence.
I started hunting whenever I was 12 years old with my dad. I have two older sisters, and I guess he previously asked both of my sisters if they wanted to go out hunting with him, and they showed no interest in it. So he just decided to not even ask me since I was the youngest. And whenever I was 12, he was discussing with my mom going out hunting the next day with one of his friends. And I asked him if I could come with him. And of course he said yes, and, was really excited about it. We dug up some old hunting clothes of his that I thankfully could fit into, and I tagged along in the woods with him. We ended up seeing some deer, but he didn't end up getting a shot off, but I thought that it was pretty cool, so I decided I wanted to do the hunter safety course the next year and go out and hunt for myself then. One of my earliest memories as a hunter was whenever I was 13. I went out the first time for spring gobbler with my dad and my uncle, and I thought that it was the coolest experience ever. We basically went out in the dark. We set up on this field, and there was a bunch of turkeys roosted up in the one tree along the field edge, so we snuck in, turned our headlamps off, and basically let the woods wake up around us, and boy, was that just a really cool experience. You got to hear all the noises that the turkeys make, and, clucking here, and as soon as they wake up, then they start gobbling their heads off. It was just so neat because they were so loud, because we were super, super close to where they were, and we got to listen to everything around us just wake up, and it was such a cool experience. I remember thinking how bizarre it was. I never knew that the woods were so quiet like that at night, and then they could be so loud as soon as the sun came up. But so we had the sun come up. All of the birds flew down straight into the field. They were just out of the range for the gun that I was shooting at the time, so I didn't get to get a shot off, but there was like 10 to 20 birds from what I can remember that flew down and almost literally vanished before my eyes. I was just kind of upset at the time because, I thought that it was going to be that easy. They flew down, I could just shoot one and that would be that. But we ended up chasing those birds all around that day. Towards the end of the day, we had 3 or 4 of them within like 80 yards. And I was just getting ready to have one come out from behind a tree, and they spooked off. They must have either saw us or something, didn't have a good feeling about it. But yeah, didn't get a harvest that day, but it was a really cool experience, and I have such vivid memories from that day with my dad and with my uncle. I ended up learning a lot that day and came to the realization that even though it seems like it's going to be a simple task to put something on the ground, it's not always as easy as you'd think. But lessons were learned, and I am definitely a better turkey hunter because of all of the experiences that I've had setting up on birds and things like that. One of the traditions that we have every year hunting wise, ever since I was 14, I would go up to my hunting camp up north in Potter County with my dad, my grandfather, my uncle, and one of our close family friends who I basically consider to be one of my uncles. And now my husband Patrick comes along with us. We always go up the Friday after Thanksgiving. Saturday, we spend the day scouting, shooting our guns in at the local sportsman's club, And then Sunday, we would spend some time with buddies of ours that also have a camp up that way. We would go over to their camp for dinner. We would all spend time together, share hunting stories, hang out, make different plans for the season coming up. We would discuss what we thought we were going to be doing on Monday. And I was always the only girl in both of our camps. So it was always, Shell, what happens at camp stays at camp. So I knew that that was the number one rule, that anything that my little brain had learned whenever I was younger, I was not allowed to discuss with my mom later on. But I always had such a good time going up there, hanging out with my dad and my pap and my uncle. That camp is one of the number one reasons that I continued to love hunting. I initially feel like I started hunting and continued to hunt for my dad. I first off knew that it would give me more one-on-one time with him, and I kept going back and doing it because I was afraid to disappoint him. I was afraid that my lack of success was making him feel bad about him not providing me the success. So it was more, I felt like I had to continue to go to prove something to him. But obviously I learned that that wasn't the case. He was just out there to have fun with me and teach me things about the woods and different tree types and what deer feed off of and how they, move around and things like that.
I now have learned that hunting is one of the hardest but most rewarding activities, hobbies, whatever you want to call it, that I do in life. Hunting quickly became one of the times that I get to sit there and reflect on my life. I get to sit there and appreciate the world around me. I sit there now and I thank God for all of the wonderful blessings that He's given me over the years. Whether it's hunting related or not, I sit there and I pray. Early on, whenever I was hunting, I would sit in my tree stand or on the ground next to my dad, and I would pray to God that the deer would come my way so I could kill one. But now I understand that it's not always about harvesting the animal. It's about the opportunities that you're given and the different things that you learn from failure throughout the years. Hunting is a time that I value. I get to spend most of my time in a tree stand alone by myself. But every single day that I'm going hunting, I'm walking into those woods next to my husband. And that is such a valuable thing for me, that I get to experience and learn beside him. Not a lot of people get to experience having and sharing a hobby with the person that they love the most and the person that they're going to spend the rest of their life with. And we get that. We get to experience different hunts and book different hunting trips together and know that our significant other is going along with us. We're not leaving them at home. We get to be side by side with them throughout the whole experience and treasure those memories. Hunting throws a new obstacle at you every time you're in the woods. So I'm constantly learning, and I love that part about hunting. I hope everybody has a safe and successful season in the woods. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to my part of the episode.
Hey guys, my name's Patrick Lawrence. So I started kind of hunting at the age of 12 or 13. I didn't really come from a hunting family. My parents weren't super outdoorsy by any means, but I had a family friend of mine that asked me if I'd be interested in coming out to their camp and going hunting with them. Really hunted with them for maybe about 2 seasons during the rifle season, and kind of quickly became discouraged and disengaged after not seeing a deer for about those 2 seasons. At that point in time, I was involved in a lot of different sports at a young age, so a lot of my time and efforts went into that stuff. So I went at probably roughly 10 years without hunting after I kind of gave it up with the family friend. And it wasn't until I met my now wife that she and her family kind of reintroduced me to hunting. And at that point, I kind of got hooked, and I've been consistently hunting for 7 years now. So what hunting really means to me is, like I said, I didn't really come from a hunting family, and whenever I started, or I got introduced to it from that family friend, just kind of seemed like another hobby to kind of pass some time by. I was young at that point, wasn't fully invested, in hunting, and I feel like I kind of missed the true meaning of it, at that point in time. But, at this point now, in my life, and in the experiences that I've had while hunting over the last 7 years, I've kind of really realized that, hunting's about tradition, and making those memories with the friends and family that you share that passion with, that will really last a lifetime. It's a passion that really allows me as a hunter, to not only provide food, for my friends and family, but it gives me the time to just sit still, and live in the moment without, having the other stresses of the world, around me while I'm out in the woods. It's really a time to reflect, on all the things that I've, been blessed with, in my life, and really give thanks to the Lord for each and every one of those things. Really the earliest memory I have, was, like I said, heading up to the family friend's hunting camp for the start of rifle season. Didn't have any kind of hunting gear, so I was dressed up in a big orange jumpsuit that was probably about 4 sizes too big for me. I didn't really know what to expect. All I knew is I was going to be sharing a buddy stand with a guy that was kind of showing me the ropes and introducing it to me. Long story short, I sat with that guy in that stand for about 2 seasons and never saw a deer. So, like I said, I took those 10 years off, and it wasn't until I was working with a guy. He actually invited me out to his property during late archery season, and then was really just trying to get me my first deer. We were sitting in the blind together, looking over a cornfield, and with about 15 minutes of light left, the deer just started to kind of funnel into the field. That heart started racing, started to get a little shaky, and I kind of picked out the biggest one in the group and was ready to draw back. And as I started to draw, I kind of got pegged, had a light on my bow sight that I think they kind of picked up on as I turned it on, and I wanted that big one, and he was in my ear telling me, "Oh, shoot a different one," because I was getting ready to get busted. But I held off. I held strong, and I got that doe that I wanted. Made the shot, and from that point forward, it was a bit of a goose chase. We spent a little bit of time just waiting in the blind till it got dark, and then we went to kind of look for first blood, and we were unsuccessful. So him being the experienced hunter, he said that it would be best to back out for the night, come back in the morning and do some more looking. And that was definitely my first taste of a sleepless night after a marginal shot. Thankfully, to date, I haven't had to do that again. But, as a hunter, you guys all know that, it's not if, it's when. We practice so frequently to be, the best shot we can be. But, things happen. And like I said, it's not if, it's when. But when we came back the next morning, started to search for blood. And we found a little bit. It was kind of marginal at best, and it just really turned into to a grid search. It was myself, the guy I worked with, the property owner, and then my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife. We were just kind of all went our separate ways, and kind of did a grid search just to see what we could find. And somehow, by the grace of God, my wife and I stumbled upon the doe. It was expired, and she was kind of piled up in a brush pile. And just a feeling came over me that, that I will never forget. It was the first harvest that I ever had, the first feeling of success of a hunt. And it was at that point on, I was hooked. The process on, doing your homework in the woods and figuring out these patterns, and just the itch I had to really improve my abilities to be able to become the most ethical hunter I could be, and just be, as accurate as possible, and do everything I could in my power to harvest a deer ethically, and make that good shot time and time again. When it comes to tradition, like I said, that's the big thing with hunting. It's about tradition. And since my wife's family got me back into hunting, they've had the family tradition. She's been going up to their family hunting camp since she was about 14 years old, and I've been blessed to help carry on that tradition every year of going up north for rifle season to the hunting camp. We always leave the day after Thanksgiving. We spend that first weekend up there hunting, enjoying time with friends and family, and just continuing to make those precious memories, whether there's a harvest or not. I mean, obviously, we go out in hopes of a harvest, and we put a lot of time in driving back and forth. We leave Thursday after work, come home Sunday, back to work Monday through Thursday, and then turn around and do it all again for the 3 or 4 weeks of rifle season. We're always chasing that elusive mountain buck of Pennsylvania. It can be a long season. It's often very stressful. It's definitely a grind, but it's that potential of having a successful harvest in camp. Whether it's yourself, whether it's a buddy, a family member. Doesn't matter who it is. You always love to see success of others. Sometimes it's just as fun as getting one yourself. But that's what keeps bringing me back every year, and hopefully in the very near future, be able to bring my kids up to camp one day, and be able to introduce them, to that camaraderie, and carry out that tradition with them as well. Appreciate you guys listening. Best of luck to everybody out there this season and seasons to come.
Hey guys, my name is Seth Bird, and I am the host of Hunting with a Passion YouTube channel. We cover everything from deer hunting, fishing, turkey hunting, and whatever we can get our hands on that we can try to hunt. I want to thank Cody for allowing me to come on here on the pod and just talk about myself and the channel a little bit. And I've been hunting for 12, 13 years now, and I've learned so much. I did not grow up in a hunting family. My first dad, he hunted a little bit when he was younger, but I was never old enough to remember. He passed away when I was 3. My stepdad, he never hunted. My mom's family didn't hunt. I just kind of learned actually from this older gentleman in our church that kind of took me under wing. I was like his grandkid, and I went with him when I was about 10 or 11, and I watched him kill a doe during rifle season, and I just loved the adrenaline rush and the whole process of watching him take it from the deer and putting it to meat on the table. I just fell in love with that, and so I got my hunter safety course that next spring and went hunting the next year, and I did not get a deer my first year, but the second year I killed a doe during the junior rifle season during archery. And I mean, I was shaking like a leaf, and it was this tiny little doe, but it was my first deer, and I just loved it and fell in love with it after that, and killed several nice deer after that and a couple bucks. But I've learned so much since that time, and I went from hunting the same ladder stand on a cornfield to the mountains now over here in central Pennsylvania to now I'm hunting the hills of Indiana for the first time last week, and just trying all this new stuff is really getting me out of my box and really learning a lot of stuff to becoming a better hunter. This year I really focused on trying to read sign and not just try not to rely on the same spots all the time and cameras and stuff, trying to learn how to read sign and figure out how fresh it is and stuff like that. And I've had a lot of friends that helped me along the way, especially this year. And, this year I learned how to hunt out of a saddle, how to hunt out of a hang on. I don't even think I've hunted out of a ladder stand all year. So I'm just trying to try new things, be more mobile and stuff. But my earliest memory of hunting was going to my adopted grandfather's house, is what I would call him. And his wife would make us a huge breakfast, and they both have passed since. And but I remember going to their house and eating food and going deer hunting, and then we'd come back at lunch and she'd feed us a big plate then, and we'd fall asleep on the couch and then go back out in the afternoon during deer rifle season and have a big supper when we get back. And I remember my first buck I ever killed. I was a senior in high school, and I didn't know anything about calling deer or anything. It was the end of October, and I was trying to get this one doe in, and I think I bleeded at her probably like 9 or 10 times. And she just, either was a really young doe or just this doe knew I didn't know what I was doing. I had a crossbow. And then out of nowhere, like, she walks off and this little 9-point basket rack 9-point comes in, and I was shaking like a leaf, son. And he stared in my direction. He was like not even 10 yards, and he just stared at me. I felt like he was staring right through me. And he finally looked away for a brief second for me to get my bow up, and I shot him. And I was like, as soon as I spined him, and I knew he wasn't going anywhere, and I was so excited. I threw my hat out of the stand, and I almost dropped my bow. I was so pumped. And I that's probably one of my fondest memories. I have it all on camera too. When I was a kid, I used to film with like these cameras, and got it all on video. And me and my brother we'd love editing, and so he was like my cameraman. We'd edit it together, and we'd put them on DVDs, and we'd give them out to my family members for Christmas and stuff. And anyway, that's one of my fondest memories. What hunting means to me is conservation, number one. I like seeing deer. I'm learning slowly to let some deer pass, to see them come to maturity and be mature, bigger deer. That's one thing I've learned, especially the last 2 years. Also, deer hunting also means to me, hunting in general, is tradition. And I can't wait to pass it down to my son. I wanted to take him hunting so bad this year, but he's only 9 months old, so he's rambunctious and loud. So I figured it wouldn't be wise. I was thinking maybe take him spring gobbler hunting, but just like my adopted grandfather passed it down to me, and having that tradition of, the good food and fellowship and hunting together and stuff like that, and always being there for each other's kills and stuff. And I always wanted to go to deer camp, like a lot of kids and teenagers, in PA. They hear their dads and grandpas talking about deer camp and how much fun it is. And I was supposed to go, but we never made it, other than to go trout fishing up near Potter County. But this year I kind of tried to start. I think I started a good tradition over in Indiana, where my in-laws are. I got a bunch of guys together, and we did a Indiana deer camp, got a nice Airbnb, and I think we're going to try to do the same one starting, every year now, hopefully during archery season, since the gun season was so busy. But to me, it's about tradition, like I said. And, that's something that I want to do with my son one day. I may not ever get a deer camp in PA, but, I'd love to keep the tradition of going to Indiana and, getting that, and, letting him come sometime. But, um, but yeah, hunting means to me conservation and the tradition that comes with it, and just teaching the next generation of hunting. Another thing that I can think of that hunting really means to me is just the memories. And, since my paps passed, I think about him every time hunting season comes around, and just the memories that he and I had together. I started the YouTube channel like 2 years ago just for the fun of it, just to see where it would go. And since then, we've had a lot of success on our videos, and I'm hoping to keep expanding it. And I'm hoping to, in the new future, try out different states and keep going to Indiana, maybe Ohio. My long-term goal is to go to Nebraska or something like that, and see where the videos take us. And I try to put stuff on there to make the videos funny, things that you can learn from, just, tell a story. And try to keep everybody up to date also on Instagram. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can go to hunting underscore with underscore passion, or just hunting with a passion on Instagram. You can look that up. I'm sure you'll find it. But thanks for having me on again, Cody, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Hi there, my name is Natalie, and I am very grateful that I get to come back on this podcast and kind of share a little bit about my story again. So I didn't really grow up hunting. My dad would go out, my dad hunted, but I wanted nothing to do with that, honestly, when I was growing up, and I couldn't really tell you why or how. Something clicked in me in 2019 where I was like, I want to start hunting. So pretty much having zero experience archery hunting or even hunting in general, I bought a bow. And I decided that I was going to start archery hunting, and I had zero idea what I was doing or what I was getting myself into, or the giant rabbit hole that I was now going to go down. I don't know if I started out thinking like, oh, this will be a hobby, because that's hilarious. It has consumed my entire life at this point. So I bought a bow, and I went out that year. I really had no idea what I was doing. The following year in 2020, I ended up shooting my first deer with a rifle opening day, and that is probably one of my fonder memories of hunting, because I just couldn't believe that I killed that. She walked 10 yards in front of me, and I shot her. And I just remember watching her to go down. I was like, is she dead? I'm like, of course she's dead. She was standing 20 feet in front of me, and just the excitement and awe that I felt, I was like, this is awesome. And then the following year in 2021, I shot my first archery deer, and I just remember it's just a whole different kind of encounter with archery, obviously, as we all know. I was shaking so bad that I could barely range her, and I'm honestly embarrassed to say this now, but I don't even know if I knew really how far she was. I think I roughly knew that she was around 30 yards, and I kind of just took a shot in the dark. I didn't really know what I was doing. I did kill her. I had a pretty good shot, but I was shaking so bad. And it was that moment when I went and I found her and she was dead. I was like, I'm hooked for life. I have chased that feeling ever since, and I will chase that feeling the rest of my life. And it's so hard to describe that feeling and explain it to people. Like, you really just can't. Like, people think that, I mean, I feel like some people think that, hunters are just cold-blooded killers and we don't really care about the wildlife, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, at least for me, like, I'm fascinated by these deer. I love, just figuring out how they live and their patterns, and I've been thankful enough to hunt the same public land for the past 4 or 5 years, and I have a pretty good idea of what they do. So I've shot 5 deer now, my rifle doe, and then my 4 other archery does, which 2 of them were this year. And I will shake no matter if a little fawn like walks out in front of me. I'm so fascinated by it. And then this year I shot my first deer early October. I don't remember the date, and I just remember I had like this very small window of opportunity to take a shot. And I shot her and I heard, like, I knew I hit her, and I thought it was a little bit low. And then I watched her through this like thick crap, and I watched her like flip on her back, and I was like, she's down. And I'm like literally like in tears, crying, like just so overwhelmed. Like, you just can't describe it. To get a deer within bow range and then be able to take that animal down, like, you just can't describe it. Like, archery is just, there's nothing like it. And like I said, it's just completely consumed my life. Everything I do revolves around it. Everything I do revolves around becoming a better hunter. Even if I have a terrible day in the woods, like, I'm still out there, and I would rather be out there having not seen any deer than doing whatever else it is that I might be doing. Like I said, I've been able to figure out these deer and what they do pretty well in this area over the last 4 or 5 years, and like, those are the memories that I love. I love being able to share, my stories with my friends and family and coworkers. And like we say all the time on this podcast, it's truly about the whole experience. Like, from the scouting to putting out cameras to the friends that I've made, people I've talked to, memories I can share, and then just, learning about these animals, learning about myself along the way. Like, I love the process from start to finish, scouting, and then actually getting something, being able to cut it up, butcher it, make meals out of this, like, knowing that, like, I was able to harvest that animal. And I mean, I haven't really rifle hunted a whole lot. It'll be opening day of rifle here tomorrow, and this is pretty much the first year that I've took off some serious time to get out there. I know it kind of sounds stupid, but I would just like archery hunt, and I was like, well, I'm done for the year. Like, I didn't know how to rifle hunt. And I know that sounds stupid because most people, get into hunting and, use a gun. And for whatever reason, I picked up a bow and I was like, I want to do it that way. I want to do it the most difficult way possible. And I just feel like I chased the challenge. Like, it's so challenging, but then when you finally like have it come together, it's so rewarding. And like I said, I've shot all does, obviously, and I've had a lot of opportunities that just didn't work out with bucks. I did shoot a buck that I never found like the very first year that I archery hunted, but that was the only like real opportunity I had. And then I guess in my mind, I just like really wanted to shoot an archery buck, so I just like stopped hunting after November. I really don't know how to explain it, but now I'm a little less picky. Like, I am obviously going out for rifle, and I want to, get an opportunity at a buck. And if I would have had a rifle here this last couple weeks, I definitely would have had something. But yeah, like I said, for me, it's about the whole process. Like, I am self-taught, pretty much everything that I know. And for me, it's just like, I enjoy the challenge of archery because it's so rewarding once you actually get something. And I love the full process. Like, everything I do, like each year I become more obsessed with this, and I think my family and friends think that I'm crazy at this point. But like, if I could take off from the first day of archery until the last day of archery in late season, I would be in the woods every single day. I think I am up to like near 200 hours in the woods between Pennsylvania and Colorado this year. And when I tell people that, like, I sound a little bit crazy, but I just enjoy being out there. Like, even if I don't get an opportunity at a deer, even if I miss a deer, or if I get a deer, like, any day out there is a better day than whatever the heck I would be doing if I wasn't out there. And like, it's just completely consumed my life. And I know it's hard to explain that to someone who doesn't, share that passion, but I would hope that anybody out there listening, I hope you find something that you're as passionate about as I am about archery hunting. Everybody doesn't have to hunt, but like, I truly hope that people can find the passion in life and just run with it.
Hi, my name's Mike Fiore. I'm born and raised in Long Island, New York. Been hunting now for about 15 years or so. Started out rifle hunting with my uncle in upstate New York, and actually didn't pick up a bow for the first time until, I'd say about 7 years ago now or so. I grew up fishing, being from Long Island. We did a lot of inshore and offshore fishing, taking trips out to the canyon for tuna, more inshore striped bass and fluke, sea bass. We grew up fishing a lot, but for me, hunting wasn't something that a lot of folks in my family did. So, I was always into firearms and did some competitive shooting, and it just kind of clicked for me at an early age that I did want to start. And like I said, went upstate with my uncle and had my first rifle hunt probably around 15 or 16 years old. I'd played a lot of basketball my whole life, so that kind of took control of winters, and again, hunting became kind of few and far between. And when I graduated college, I did a little bit where I went to school in Pennsylvania. I'd hunt and fish a little bit, but once I got home is really when I started to focus in. And that kind of ties into what hunting meant for me. It was escape from a lot of the realities of regular life. It was something that I could do that was very hard and made me work and focus in, but seemed to be no stress to it whatsoever. It just it was escape from the realities of regular life. And the more I learned, the more I hunted, the more in love I fell, and the more in love I fell with just the action of actually getting out there and learning the terrain. And it became a way of life. And now fast forward to I'm 34, and it has become just an absolute way of life for me. The majority of what I eat is what I kill. I travel all across the country throughout the year trying to hunt new places, and while still focusing on my area here in Long Island. What I enjoy most about hunting is the fact that it's how much time we put in as hunters, getting out there in late June, early July, starting to set up cameras, enduring those long hikes in hot weather. Where I am, I'm covered in ticks, and we still go out there willingly, to set up our cameras and learn what's out there. And, I guess it's just, I do a lot of things outside of my regular, 9-to-5 job and all the regular stressors of life. I do a lot of things that I think most people would consider difficult, but they actually, bring me a lot of enjoyment. I eat really well. I train. I do jujitsu, and we do this hunting, and again, it's for me, it's something that is very hard to do. You put a lot of time in, but the success that comes out of it and what you gain from it is truly, it's unmatched. Really excited to share that with my son one day. The earliest memory I have, I'm actually gonna share something that happened a little later. I like I said, hunted starting from around 15 years old or so. And, that was always just about being out in the woods and going up to my uncle's hunting cabin, and we had fun. But I never had a connection there with, let's say my father, or I was really young or something like that. So I actually had something happen to me 3 years ago now. I've had a tradition going for 6 or 7 years with a friend of mine and his father. We head out to South Dakota and we hunt mule deer and whitetail out there. And about 2 years ago now, actually 2 years ago, we went out there, and my grandfather I'd always had a connection with him. With he was stationed in Texas. We had my aunt and family lived in Georgia, and we always had this connection with John Wayne movies, and he'd call it cowboy music and all these things together. And he never hunted, but he'd always enjoyed listening to the stories I would tell him about me hunting and fishing. And it was 2 years ago in November that he passed away at 89. And it was about 2 weeks later that I was scheduled to go on the trip to South Dakota that we go on every year. And I mustered up the strength and then went out there. We drove out, my buddy and I kept getting these signs. It was really weird. His last name was Davis. We kept passing towns and signs with Davis on them, and we had a number together. 143 was the number. We were passing exits and kept popping up, and just all these crazy signs were happening. Well, we ended up hunting right next to a property that had the name Davis on it, and as we go out there and bow hunting those draws in big open prairie of South Dakota is just, it's probably one of the harder types of hunting that you can really do. It's incredibly difficult to get up close. And, well, it was just seemed like things kind of fell into place. I think it was the second to last day. We'd been there 4 days prior. I'd gotten too close a couple times. I'd gotten winded a few times, and almost could have guaranteed that I had kind of gone there without having any success. It was the second to last day. I was actually headed kind of back in from the base of these hills and kind of stalking up a draw. I think it was around 1 o'clock. I was really kind of expecting to go back in. I was upset I had actually missed an opportunity earlier. And walking back in, I come around this bend in the draw, and there's a really nice buck there, kind of overlooking his harem. Actually, 2 doe had jumped out and spooked off, and 3 stayed with him. He was bedded on a little hillside in the draw, and it was just 2 hours of kind of waiting behind this little thicket that I had been in. And he finally had got up and actually started making his way out of the draw. And I thought that was it. And all of a sudden, over the horizon, he comes back down, walks into the draw, and he gives me a broadside shot at 55 yards, a little windy, and I just smoked him double lungs, a little bit back actually, but double lung. And he ran right at me, all of 55 yards, and piled up right in front of me. And the whole thing was done in seconds after walking probably 11 miles that day, and waiting for 2 hours for him to get up and give me an opportunity. it had been fairly windy, about 20 mile per hour winds that day, very overcasty, almost like pre-snow, because it dropped to about 11 below that night, and we did get snow that night. But it was that pre-snow kind of, haze rolling in, and so visibility was fine, but it was just strange. You couldn't see that well, and he piled up in front of me, and I kid you not, there was just a ray of sunshine that opened up from those clouds, and it was directly on top of myself and the buck, and I'm sitting there bawling my eyes out, just kind of really felt in my heart and knew that that was my grandfather looking down. And it was, to this day, it gives me chills just to tell that story, because it was so clear to me, that he was with me. And I don't think I can ever replace that feeling. And now every time I'm out, in the woods, I find myself talking to him, and it's like we're hunting together. And so that to me is not so much an early memory, but a memory that sticks with me, and that I'll always kind of cherish, and what I connect hunting for me as. And
hey guys, what's going on? This is Ty Forbes from Tall Pines Media, based out of Massachusetts, and I'm just so thankful and humbled to be a part of this camp member program put on by BackCountry PA podcast. The support they've showed me throughout the entire year has been tremendous, and I am just so thankful. What hunting means to me is a lot different than what it may be meant towards a lot of people. I didn't get involved in hunting until later in life, at the age of 29 years old, when I met my dad for the very first time. He's always been an avid outdoorsman, and it was a way for he and I to get to know each other and to bond by going out into the woods and him teaching me everything there was to know about being an outdoorsman. It first started out by being an opportunity to get to know my dad more and spend more time with my dad, and now it has become a full-blown passion that I share with my dad as well as my younger son, Beckett. I just love hunting. I love chasing whitetails. I love playing the game of chess and really trying to go after these mature bucks. Any chance in the woods is so meaningful to me. It's a way to decompress from my job being a police officer, and it's just really a place where I just feel at one. Hunting will forever be a passion, and it will forever be something that I will always instill in my children. And I just can't thank the BackCountry PA podcast enough for the support they've given me and my YouTube channel, and just being a real friend. And I'll forever be grateful for that. Thanks, guys. I hope everyone had a great 2023, and everyone's gearing up and fired up for 2024.